Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to Video Ferox, where we celebrate the cult and underground movies of the past. So what are we watching tonight? We're wrapping up Blaxploitation History Month, kinda, by taking a look at quite possibly the whitest movie ever, Live and Let Die. Why a James Bond movie? Well, we'll get into that here in a second. So, do pay attention, 007, and let's just roll the trailer.
Roger Moore is James Bond 007 in Ian Fleming's Live and Let Die.
My name's Bob. James Bond.
Names is for tombstones, baby. Waste him, now.
James Bond is back, and wherever he drops in, it can mean only one thing.
Trouble!
This is the Bond adventure with more excitement, more action, more danger, and more. Much more. Roger Moore as James Bond 007. .007 is on a worldwide manhunt. The body count is going up. And where Bond stops to visit, he leaves his mark. On everything.
They'll kill you.
They will kill us. Love is lesson number 2. Togetherness.
It's the time before we leave for lesson number 3.
Absolutely.
Take your seat and hang on.
If any man can show just cause where they might not lawfully be joined together.
Because Bond is on the move. And if you miss this one, you'll miss the most exciting 007 adventure of them all.
Alrighty, welcome back from the trailer to Live and Let Die. Now, you don't need two idiots sitting on the couch telling you whether or not you like this movie or not, because it's pretty mainstream. So we'll keep this section short. Ian, do you like Live and Let Die? Alright, I ain't going to get shit out of him, so I guess we're just going to go on to the spoilers
He
section.
said he wanted it short!
Not that short.
That's the reason why I'm just like, I like the film. Let's move on.
All right, fine. Shut up. We'll just go to the spoilers then.
Silent breed is people!
So, I don't know if you guys have ever noticed, but James Bond tends to chase the trends.
Yes.
Star Wars came out in '77, took over the world, and absolutely rewrote Hollywood as we know it. And all of a sudden, they said, oh, wait a second, let's go do Moonraker. They do The Bourne Identity, in 2010. It takes off, makes huge amounts of money at the box office, and that's why we had to suffer through Daniel Craig and the grim, dark, dour, unfun Bond. So here we are in 1972. The production for Live and Let Die is just starting to get off the ground, and the civil rights movement is hitting its apex and kind of petering out. And blaxploitation is just taking off, and all of a sudden, everybody's saying, wait a second, there's an audience for black people who seeing movies. Great, let's just chase that money. And that's where Live and Let Die came from.
Live and Let Die came up in conversation frequently. Should we make Live and Let Die? No, we shouldn't. All the villains are black people. It's too racist. It's gonna be.
Well, if you go back to the original novel is racist as fuck.
Oh yeah, it is very much so. You take the characterization that we see of Mr. Big in the movie, multiply that by 10 in the book. Like, damn, Fleming, god damn, dude.
Yaphet said of the script, I had to dig deep in my soul and my brain to come up with something of a level of reality that would offset the sea of stereotype crap that the screenwriter had wrote and had nothing to do with the black experience or culture. And then if you go and look at like the completely tone-deaf racist cop, which we'll get into, it's easy to see what the hell he's talking about.
One of the things that's really neat, I think is really neat about some of the characters in this movie, is they're not necessarily all villains by intent. They're just, this is my place, this is my position, I'm doing what I'm told.
This is the first time that we've got an interracial relationship between Bond and somebody else.
One that is played out with some significance, yes. There's interracial in previous movies. Connery has 2.
Oh yeah, he made it with some Japanese, the Japanese girl.
We don't see any of the intimacy that you would expect to see. We see that in all of the previous circumstances of Bond getting with a girl. That doesn't happen here because they don't want to offend some of the markets.
They had to cut this scene in South Africa because of apartheid, and Japan, and a couple other markets, so they had to cut it in.
The original story, Solitaire is black, Rosie is white, and they switched that around because they needed the female lead throughout the film to be white.
The problem that the movie was running into is that we're going to give this a lead role to a black dude, but then they were a little afraid to promote him.
Yeah.
There were instances, I remember reading an interview with Yaphet Kotto. It was probably, just a couple years before he died, so about 2010, 2015, where he was saying, the producers did not want me promoting the film. In fact, when I found out the Time and Newsweek were interviewing the rest of the cast, I went to producer Harry Saltzman and asked, why wasn't I included? We were afraid that there had never been a black villain before, and we don't want people to think about stuff, so they didn't promote me. So they buried Yaphet Kotto.
Here's a black actor getting hardcore promoted as a black villain. I think if he had done the promotions, he wouldn't have gotten Alien. He wouldn't have. They wouldn't have considered him for it because they'd look at him and go, oh, he's a black villain. Because of the promotion.
Stereotyping is a real thing, unfortunately.
Yeah. However, thankfully, I think him not being in any of the promotional stuff saved him from that. And that's why he got Alien. Supposition on my part, I'm guessing.
So the term tone deaf has come up a couple of times in the conversation. And the reason that I wind up using it an awful lot is because, okay, what is blaxploitation movie? What is the core thesis, I guess? It's taking black culture and presenting it in a positive light. If you look at black culture presented in white Hollywood before the 70s, so the 50s and 60s and whatnot, it's all step and fetch, it's all mammies, it's all Uncle Toms, it's all very derogatory. So blaxploitation is the first time where they've had a chance to say, look, we have value, we have worth, we can do more than just survive, we can thrive.
Yes.
But the reason I say that Live and Let Die is tone deaf is because you have all of this empowerment in the genre generally. But then you have the whitest white man coming in and flexing his manifest destiny over a whole bunch of either criminals or superstitious natives. Hell, the British Empire is famous for one thing, conquering all of not Middle East, where the fuck is it? Where do they have Haiti and stuff? Caribbean.
Yeah.
So having a white dude come in and save the day and say, look, poor black people, I'm going to save you, that's the core disconnect from what blaxploitation is, at least to me.
So they're sitting here and they're setting about and they're going to do the next Bond film, and somebody says, "Hey, the blaxploitation thing is just taking off. There's all kinds of films hitting the theaters where the core of the characters are black, set in circumstances involving the black community. Da 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 da. Why don't we take advantage of this and make the movie that we haven't wanted to make because of all of the racism in it?" Because we can slide it in there, and people will just look at it and say, "Oh, it's a blaxploitation film." It's not.
So in its own way, a movie that is cashing in and exploiting black cinema is the purest form of blaxploitation.
Yes, they were taking advantage of blaxploitation by making a film with a whole bunch of black bad guys, but it's not a blaxploitation film. It's exploiting that there are blaxploitation films.
The other instance of the movie being tone deaf is, okay, one of the prevalent themes that comes up an awful lot in blaxploitation movies, the Mac and Superfly and so on and so on and so on, is the drugs in the community. Where, hell, it's often that the black people are like, okay, hey, we're going to go and stop this. We're going to put an end to this. I can think of a dozen movies that have that theme.
But Black Dynamite, I sell drugs to the community.
And then you take Live and Let Die, where I'm going to have all these black actors in this black criminal empire, and we're just going to have Yaphet Kotto flood the market with a whole bunch of smack and get everybody hooked, and he's going to say, hey, the first hit was free, and now you got to pay for my drug.
And that's the reason why I make the comment that they were exploiting blaxploitation. We can get this film in, and people are going to go to watch it, and yay, Bond's a good guy, because that's why they go to see a Bond film. But people who are paying attention, people who are cognizant, people who actually can think outside of the box are going to go, wait a minute. Holy fucking shit. Did they just present that black people are just bad guys? Yes, they did.
Yes, they did. And let's give some credit where credit is due. Roger Moore, when he found out that, oh my God, I can't have a love scene with a black woman because people won't go see it in Louisiana and in the South, and it's like, I'm now much more determined to do that scene. So good on him, at least.
Oh yeah, no, Roger Moore, I think, definitely showed that he had sensibilities to the racism. Yes, he has sensibilities to what is, what is right and wrong about things in regards to all of that. But he also saw that there was bullshit going on.
Although we can't overlook the fact that, hey, I've just had this amazing sexual conquest with this black chick, and she runs off and gets killed almost instantly.
They created a character that doesn't exist in the novel, and that's Sheriff Pepper, who is the good old Southern white boy racist cop.
He calls everybody boy.
Calls everybody boy. The general consensus a lot of people have is that he's a funny character. Everybody's laughing at him. He was so popular in that context that, well, the fans really loved him. Let's bring him back for Man with a Golden Gun.
And then make him twice as racist.
Oh my God. They're like, okay, we need to since we're presenting all of these black characters, stereotypically bad guys, it's racist. Let's put a white man in here as who is being racist for the purposes of mocking the racism. That's what, behind the scenes, that's what when they had their sit down talk about meetings about in script development, here's why they did it.
They were trying to diffuse the situation.
They were trying to. Now, I agree with your assessment of it.
I fucking hate that character. You want to talk fucking tone deaf. That is so 100% goddamn tone deaf. Now, it's satire. Yes, it's kind of trying to channel Blazing Saddles, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, I think it's poorly written shtick, and I think it's just completely, totally separate from the movie. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, well, let's look at the Mankiewicz. He's the guy who wrote the script for this one. He's an American. He got the job of writing scripts for the Bond films because he understood the British idiom. That's what he said in one of the interviews. That's how he got the job. He could write British, but he's an American. So he has his own upbringing and his own view of the world from the perspective of living in the United States. So he went a little too...
I see what it's there for, and I disagree that it shouldn't have been there. Because at a surface level reading, it's incredibly racist and really... I mean, he's running around calling everybody boy. And, the only reason they're not using the word nigger is because it's a PG movie.
There are people out there who really get a kick out of that sheriff. I'm one of them. I laugh at him every goddamn time. However, your perspective, I actually understand why you're saying what you're saying, because you're not looking at it from the context of knowing why they did it. You're looking at it from the standpoint strictly as I'm the audience.
I'm looking at it from this is 5 minutes of shtick that really doesn't fit in with the rest of the movie.
That kind of comedy didn't really fit in with James Bond at all.
Not until we have to get several movies deep into Roger Moore before we get to that sort of comedy, unfortunately.
If they really wanted to distract the audience from all of the racial overtones that the black characters were having, they could have put a black good guy in.
Now, they did have a couple of black good guys. They had that CIA guy.
Not even with that clever disguise you're wearing. White face in Harlem. Good thinking, Bond.
And we had Quarrel, too. There was Son of Quarrel, or whatever the hell his name was.
Quarrel Jr.
Quarrel Jr.
They should have taken Felix Leiter completely out of the story and just had it be that black CIA agent all the way through.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, was this the first time where it was a majority of people in the opening credits were black? There were a couple of white folks in there, but for the majority of the naked dancing women, it was black people.
There's one white gal in there. She's blonde.
So good on Maurice Binder, at least for that.
Yeah. Now, is there an instance where they possibly may have had nothing but black women in the opening sequence? That would be Dr. No.
Okay.
It's all silhouettes. You can't see the ethnicity of any of the dancers.
And being that it's kind of set in Jamaica and in the Caribbean, okay, that's where you might gotten away with it. But it's so indistinct.
Yes.
This is the first time where I say, that's a black chick.
Yes. Now let's look at the instance where they covered that opening sequence with a bunch of Japanese gals, and not a single one of them was Japanese. And that was You Only Live Twice.
Boy, you want to talk a tone-deaf movie, that's the tone-deafest James Bond of them all. But we're not talking about that.
This film got made because of blaxploitation. It exploited blaxploitation to make it. We have a lot of prolific performances, white and black alike. I mean, we didn't have the dumbed down black people. Everybody was well-spoken, enunciated words. There was none of that. We've seen it in some of the blaxploitation films.
I've been shining white folks boosting everybody. Oh, I'm back exactly recollect. Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I understand, but god damn it, do you have to have him talk so...
Step and fetch it, basically.
Yeah. But everybody has a articulate... I mean, let's look at the one guy. He's got that eloquent, almost British voice. Isn't it a beautiful day? He's just so well-spoken. They all are. I mean, every one of the black characters is very well-spoken people. So they take that out of it. Because typically with the caricatures and the stereotypes that you see in films with black people, they talk crap. I've always found that frustrating. It's like, I know there are well-spoken black people. There are a lot of well-spoken black people. Why must they always sound like they're talking crap?
The one thing that perplexes me is that if you're doing a blaxploitation James Bond movie, why the hell do you go with Sir Paul? Now, this isn't me throwing shade on the song Live and Let Die. The song is fucking awesome. Clearly one of the top 3 best James Bond themes of all time. So I love the song. It is, however, the least funky song ever. Why don't you go with like an Isaac Hayes or a, Curtis Mayfield, or hell, you go back to the lady who did Goldfinger, whose name I suddenly can't remember. Help me in.
I'm drawing a blank on it now too.
Fuck.
Shirley Bassey.
Shirley Bassey.
God
Fuck
damn
me.
it.
God damn it. Why aren't you using Isaac Hayes or Curtis Mayfield or Shirley Bassey? She's in the goddamn series twice up to this point.
They did the lounge version, and the gal who sings it in the lounge version is actually, by her regular career, is a singer, and she appeared as a singer in a lot of British television. She's born and raised in America, but she did a lot of British television. She appeared basically in the variety shows. But yeah, so she does that version, and she's basically singing the version that Diana Ross would have done, because there was discussion. Diana Ross was considered for the movie.
But then, and here I know the reason why they didn't go with a funky soul Isaac Hayes version of Live and Let Die, because Paul McCartney said, "Fuck you, that's my song. I want to do it."
Yes. However, they weren't going to have Paul McCartney do it. I was like, great, you did this great version of it. We're gonna pull in another artist. We'll have them sing it. And that's when Paul McCartney went, no, you want my song? I'm the one who's doing it.
So again, at the end of the day, Saltzman and Broccoli were a little paranoid and scared off by the fact that we can't be too black. We can be black, we just can't be that black.
Correct. I can't remember the gal's name. If you go into IMDb, look her up, you can see she has a prolific career as a singer.
Do yourself a favor once you get done with us. Go and check out the Barbara Now version of Live and Let Die. It is, in my opinion, the superior song between the two.
Yes.
No shade on McCartney again, but she crushes it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful version of the song. And again, it's another instance of you idiots.
One of the other tone-deaf things that the movie tackles is, okay, now realizing that your 2-hour movie is in fact not supposed to be a travelogue of like New Orleans and Haiti and down in the Caribbean, and your main purpose is to show Bond kicking a whole bunch of bad guys' ass.
Mm-hmm.
However, what you get of New Orleans and of the Caribbean,
San Martinique is the name of the fictional country. All because they've already been to Jamaica. We can't go back there again.
Whatever.
Idiots.
The problem is that they basically boiled it down to what do we see in New Orleans? We get the filet of soul, so the music, and we get the quaint funeral procession march. And that's all we get in New Orleans. And with the voodoo and the stuff in the Caribbean, where it's more of a, okay, now Hollywood never gets voodoo right. You take a look at all the movies. They're never going to get it right. But here, it's more of a Vegas stage show than actual voodoo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Look at the MC at the nightclub. So we've the show we've cooked up everywhere, and it's just it's just a show. And here's it's like, yeah, okay, it's just a show.
So I guess my problem with you doing that is that essentially New Orleans and the voodoo culture, which is real to some people, is just a prop for the James Bond guys.
Yeah, and it's used in villainous context. The tarot readings isn't really voodoo. Tarot is its own thing, and it's across a wide spectrum of religions. There's actually some Christian religions that actually have embraced it and get scolded for it. But I mean, you can find tarot decks for there's Native American Indian tarot cards, and there's tarot cards. There's all kinds of tarot cards. So they play on that in that context, and it's treated. That's, I think, out of all of it, that's the one thing that's treated seriously, because Mr. Big or
Katanga.
Whatever you want to think of him as, your mother had the power and lost it. He actually bases his decisions, either as a criminal or as a politician, off of these tarot readings. I think it's the only thing out of all of it that's really treated with any seriousness. It's not a prop. That's the only thing.
But everything else about the religion and about the city and about the hell, the setting, I mean, even going up to Harlem is essentially just one big prop.
Yeah, it was. It was horribly so.
So I guess the best way that we could save Live and Let Die is, what we need to do is fire Roger Moore, bring in Richard Roundtree, race flip everybody in the movie so it's Whitey, and make Shaft 4 is what they needed to have done.
Damn right.
All right, so that's pretty much a half an hour of dunking on Live and Let Die. You got any final thoughts, or are we just going to go to put it to bed?
I don't believe there are any Bond fans out there that will necessarily decide that they don't want to watch this film anymore. But I'm feeling confident that we pointed out a couple of things that people are going to be like, I didn't know that.
I don't hate the movie. I mean, it's fun, it's fine, it's okay. It's just if you apply any sort of critical thinking to it, it falls apart.
Yes.
There's delicious fresh buttered popcorn, a real taste delightful snack. Try our fabulous Frankfurters. They're terrific. And then top it off with thirst-quenching Mission Orange, America's favorite orange drink. Mission, the drink with all the luscious flavor of sun-ripened, juicy Valencia oranges. The juiciest oranges ever grown. That's Mission Orange, rich in vitamin C.
And that's a wrap for our review of Live and Let Die, although it really wasn't much of a review, more of a social commentary with a light sprinkling of what we thought about the thing. Whatever. What you gonna do? So, drop us an email, thevideonastyproject@gmail.com, so for all your hate letters and fan fiction of... Oh, I don't want to even go there. Never mind. Next week, we're going to be getting into Italian movies that rip off much better American ones by watching Bruno Mattei and Terminator 2. So join us here for that. And then, as you plumb the depths of the forbidden and dark world of exploitation movies, remember, stay evil.
Same time tomorrow, Mrs. Bell?